Well, we might have another crisis, COVID-19, as this video goes into. I'll make sure this is recording. Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash. Double honors the elders and apostles of the Great Millstone, who are teachers of truth and sincerity. And shout out to the Akims out there in the four corners of the earth, proclaim this truth. Raka the Yahweh, Raka the Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash, Rakatam. So, hantavirus hoax. Here we go. So if my video from YouTube gets taken down, well, we already know what's behind it.
I kept telling y'all that COVID was a motherfucking test run. This hibachi virus shit that's on that ship, don't think for one motherfucking second you won't be hearing pretty soon that, oh, damn, we had a couple of fucking passengers that didn't take the cruise back home. They missed it, so they had to fly home or got on a train, and it spread that motherfucking way. Same way COVID did out there was the people got on a plane, and all of a sudden it's all over the motherfucking world. I wouldn't
COVID,
and like I said,
19.
Test run. And many people start seeing, man, that was fake. They exaggerated. So guess what? People gonna be loose now. I ain't worried about that. I ain't worried about that. Until, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 40, 50 million motherfuckers start dropping. Nope, I'm finna drop the fuck up. I know I'm gonna look like an eyeball. And no, I'm not fear mongering. You can do the fuck you wanna do. You gotta watch these motherfuckers, man. When they start telling you some shit about to come, after they ain't already tried to put some shit out, start looking for that second one to be something real.
I hate to break it to y'all, but the hantavirus is coming. The economy is already, it's at the lowest it could ever be, and I'm not even going to the details of that, of the economy and our stock market and so many other things, gas prices. I just seen somewhere where this lady who owned a gas station, a guy went to get gas and she was out of gas, and she was saying she don't know, she's not supposed to speak or say anything, but they may not be getting any more gas. And again, the economy, we already know what is happening. The war is not stopping no time soon. It's only going to escalate, and we see the escalation. But I want to remind y'all that there were major early outbreaks that occurred on a cruise ship with C in that number. And it was notably the Diamond Princess. I remember that shit back in February 2020. And it acted as a major spreader as the early pandemic. It was spreaded because of that, allegedly. Now, this virus, this hantavirus, it's suspected that, you know, there were 7 cases on this ship. Now, what I'm hearing is that there was one traveler that was exposed in Argentina, and that now Spain is allowing the ship to dock. So now they're docking. Before, people were saying, don't let the ship, they're docking. They're docking right in Spain. Okay, well, we didn't want them. And they're saying that they're going to clean up the shit. Where are the people going? Where are they going to put them people as they cleaning and sanitizing the shit? They said they inspecting it and they disinfecting it. Where's the people going to go? Dive deep into it, but they're saying it's human-to-human transmission. And,
oh no, social distancing again.
One person, it's a bunch of people infected, child, and 3 people seriously in critical condition or something like that. It is a lot going on that ship, and that ship needs to keep sailing on the water. They need to get people who volunteer to go on there and help the ship, pull up the ship, let the people get on there, and they serve them people until they all get better, until we figure it out. Let them just do a world tour. Go ahead and do a world tour. Go tour the whole world, and then come back, and then we'll check on y'all then. And this is why I talk about deception, because the reason why this is weird, we've only seen one guy who's done a video saying that he's healthy, he needs to get off the ship, but where is 175 people or something? Where's all the other people making videos and telling us? Where they at? See, stuff don't be adding up. It has to be 1 + 1 = 1. It literally has to be math for me. Because we only see one video, and all of a sudden this is hitting mainstream media. I really want us to think. Biggest problem that I'm having is saying that
Tom Hanks was the one man before, right?
For weeks.
The main guy of the coronavirus hoax.
Once people get off the ship in Spain, they're going to disinfect it and inspect it, and these people are going to be quarantined for like 7 or 8 weeks or something like that. What if that's not the time frame? Well, the time frame is like 2 months. Is that 2 months for 8? Yeah, that's about 2 months. But what if it's 3 months? Just seeing this don't add up. This is bothering me so bad because of the way that the economy is and what is going on in the world. I can almost promise you it's going to one day just pop up and it's going to surface. I can almost, I just know. All of a sudden, oh, now we have these cases. It must be... Oh, how convenient is that? Meanwhile, just don't go to Spain. Don't take no trips to Spain. Please, y'all. Don't nobody go to Spain. Nobody go cancel your trip out to Spain. Nobody go to Spain.
Oh, isn't that an enemy of Trump?
They're already shutting down airlines. It can't get more clear than this, y'all. It cannot get more clear than this. That's it. That's all.
Just so happens to be an enemy of Donald Trump as well. So it serves both purposes, right? You can't call it Chinese virus this time. No. So... another hoax, and the big reason why he had to pause it is because checkmate, as this goes into, right? Saudi Arabia is the main reason. Guess what? The U.S. can't use their fucking bases in Saudi Arabia. Not this time, because, again, Saudi Arabia and Iran are BRICS members. Okay, so this time, no. See, they want better relations with Russia. That's who Saudi Arabia is with, because duh, BRICS, right? Saudi Arabia just ended Israeli-Iran war plan with this powerful move. Checkmate. Saudi Arabia just ended the war with Iran, so you can check this one out. So let me see if... okay, he just put it on there. See if I can get that. Because this is an interesting move. I'm just going to see if there's video real quick. Slovakia. We're just getting things started, right? Here we go. Yes, he did post it as a video, so we'll get the sound on here.
With breaking news that is the second biggest news since Israel drug us into this insane war with Iran 67 days ago. NBC News is reporting, my sources confirm, that Saudi Arabia 3 days ago told Trump, you can't use our bases anymore.
Yep.
This war is over. And now that's been confirmed. Again, Israel struck first, drug us into it. U.S. intelligence, even the IDF told Trump it wasn't going to work with the Mossad, and Benjamin Netanyahu told Trump it was going to work and fed him a bill of lies. They wanted to drag us into a full war with Iran, to plunge the whole region into conflict, believing that once we were fully committed, the U.S. would win the war, even if it took 5 years, that Israel would be the new hegemon in the region. So Saudi Arabia's been trying to work with Israel for years, finally understood this was a larger trap to bring down the entire Middle East itself, and stood up to it. This is COVID 2.0 designed to shut down civilization. So this is great news. The problem is, will Israel stage a false flag attack? Set off a nuke and say Iran did it. Attack the U.S. and say Iran did it. Shoot surface air missiles at Trump's Air Force One and claim Iran did it. They've been pre-programming all of that. So we're at a very dangerous juncture right now, because Netanyahu has already been indicted and convicted. He knows that if he can't keep this war going, he's done. That's why he funded Hamas. That's why Israel created Hamas. Now they've set up Hamas or get rid of Hamas, but they stood down on October 7th. So all the false flags, all the disinformation is coming to a close. Israel's not the most unpopular country in the world, according to Gallup poll, and they're just trying to double down on their foreign policy. But all the neocons tried to bully the American people, tried to tell us we were wrong. We were right, and you were wrong. So it looks like Saudi Arabia just ended the war. According to all the calculus, that's what's happening. But Israel may do a Hail Mary and stage some big event very, very soon. Maybe political assassinations here in the United States for control. You've had the head of the ADL say a month ago, we use the same energy Israel used killing Hamas with pagers against Americans that say Israel got us into this war, when Israel openly got us into this war. And we're seeing open call for censorship by Mark Levin and Laura Loomer and all the rest of them, and calls for nuclear weapons to be used. This is total insanity. And thank God, because enough of us, like myself, Tucker Carlson, and the others, put pressure on Trump, he backed off from, quote, destroying all of Iran forever in one day, destroying their whole civilization in one day, never to return. So that's the reality here. This is the best news we've seen yet. Trump's declared victory 31 times. He said the war is over many, many times. But in the last 3 days, we've seen real difference in the dial back of the military, the ships pulling back, expanded deployments being cut back, because Trump, as I told you a month ago, finally admitted last week, he was looking at a ground invasion to take control of the Iranian side, the Strait of Hormuz, which all military tacticians say is an absolute nightmare and a quagmire that would make Vietnam pale in significance. So Israel wanted to bait us in as they implode, to be their guardian by getting us into a fight we had to commit to. Pray to God this is happening, but it looks like it is. At the 11th hour, 58th minute, America, the rest of the world is waking up, and good for Saudi Arabia standing up and not being pulled into this new world war. I'll cover it all tomorrow from the Alex Jones Network at AlexJonesLive.com, the new site. We're still on the air, stronger than ever, AlexJonesLive.com. Follow us on X or Alex Jones and the network at AJN Live, and of course on Rumble, rumble.com/AJN Live. Thank you so much, and God bless you all. Watch the server.
So there it is. That's what's happening, right? And you see the headlines, right? Trump pauses Strait of Hormuz reopening plan following ally backlash. So, Saudi Arabia said no to him. NBC News report. So this is mainstream. This is official, just like Alex said, right? NBC reported that Saudi Arabia blocked operation proposed by President Trump to reopen the strait for ships stranded in the Gulf. Network quoted U.S. officials saying that Trump surprised Gulf allies by announcing Project Freedom on social media Sunday, angering leadership in Saudi Arabia. In response, the kingdom informed the U.S. it would not allow the U.S. military to fly aircraft from Prince Sultan Airbase, which is one of their main ones, southeast of Riyadh, or fly through Saudi airspace to support the effort, the officials added. Phone call between Trump and Saudi Crown Prince bin Salman failed to resolve the dispute following the U.S. president to suspend Project Freedom. So there you go. Saudi Arabia is the main ally, and without them, you ain't got shit. Turkey ain't going to help you. Turkey doesn't want anything to do with this war. But they've unveiled a new missile. If you hadn't caught yesterday's video, well, there's more on this. The first ICBM developed by Turkey. So, as you know, the false flag that they tried to pull really didn't work, and Saudi Arabia said no. Because that was that, Iran struck the United Arab Emirates this time, right? That's what they were trying to do, and it didn't work. They found out that it was Saudi Arabia, so you can see how, wait, now you got another guy. You got another player involved. Saudi Arabia did attack United Arab Emirates, and this time it was over OPEC Plus, if you hadn't caught the previous videos, so it wasn't even a false flag, Slovakia. It wasn't even a false flag, but nonetheless, though, the U.S. was trying to frame it as, Iran did it, so they could go to war with Iran, and Saudi Arabia told them no. So Saudi Arabia is playing its part in this, right? Kind of playing both sides, but not like Turkey does. Turkey, on the other hand, they don't want any part at all with this war, and Saudi Arabia is kind of pulling away from the war too, because they know that they were dragged into it, and they know that pretty much so that will hinder business with Iran. Because Iran is a trading partner with Saudi Arabia, believe it or not, because they're BRICS members. So it's really about control of that, and, well, like everything else, so. ICBMs, well, we talk about them all the time, right? 200,000 of them. And Turkey has them too.
Well, amid the current tensions across the Middle East, Turkey has unveiled its first intercontinental ballistic missile. Ankara's defense minister is saying if the need ever arises, the weapon will be used without hesitation.
We think it is only used as a deterrent, but if we need to use it, let there be no doubt that we will use it without hesitation, and we consider that we will use it in the most effective way.
So this new missile was unveiled at an arms expo in Istanbul. It has a recorded range of 6,000 kilometers with a top speed of Mach 25, although some analysts have noted since there are no reports of it ever being tested, those technical aspects remain unproven. But the development comes amid Ankara's emerging tensions with Israel, with a former Israeli prime minister issuing a very thinly veiled threat.
A new Turkish threat is emerging.
Yeah, there it is.
Turkey and Qatar have gained influence in Syria, are seeking influence elsewhere and everywhere throughout the region.
Because you see, this guy really wants war with Turkey.
Is the new Iran.
There it is.
Now, crossing live to former U.S. Army officer, there he is right there, Stanislav Krapivny, joining us live and worldwide here on RT International. Stas, a very warm welcome to you. What a story this is, because if there's anyone who knows about this kind of missile, it's going to be you more than me, because Turkey has unveiled what is its first intercontinental ballistic missile. Certainly some great technical headlines.
I saw the number of them, 200,000.
Well, until you've proven something, you can put whatever you want in a pamphlet. The U.S. does with all of its weapon systems. It's kind of hard to do it now after Ukraine and Iran, because we've seen the actual results, and they're much lower than what was being sold. Turkey's the same thing. Look, no ballistic missiles have been tested of this type by Turkey, period. Inside of Turkey also. Anytime a ballistic missile like this is launched, prior to launch, everybody is notified, Russia, the U.S., etc., because it could be a nuclear weapon being launched by somebody else. So everybody needs to be calmed down. This is not a preemptive strike. We're just testing a missile. This goes months ahead of time normally before anything's tested. The Turks have not tested this. Secondly, look, all ballistic missiles can reach high levels of Mach, 10, 12, 13, but they're on a parabolic arch. They're just a ballistic missile coming down hard. They're not a hypersonic weapon system because they cannot maneuver. They're just going on an arc straight down. This system, I doubt it goes to Mach 24. Like I said, until you've tested it, you can claim Mach 100. Why not? At this point, the Turks have done it plenty of times. Remember, Bayraktar was the unbeatable weapon system until it went up against an actual anti-aircraft umbrella like Russia's, and then they went down flaming almost every single time. Yeah. So, it's one thing on a brochure, it's the other thing when it's reality.
Yeah, fair enough, Stas. I mean, look, we know Russia, Iran, China, we know they have these hypersonics, of course, Russia with the Oreshnik and other items as well. How would this new ballistic missile from Turkey compare with the big ones from Russia and China, for example?
Well, first of all, I mean, this is an absolutely different class of weapon systems. This type of weapon system, the only thing you could use it for, realistically, what you would use it for, is delivery of weapons of mass destruction. Chemical weapons, you could use it for that. There was a 6,000 kilometer range. Why would you? Nuclear warheads, primary. when you're dealing with something like the Oreshnik carries the strike capability of a nuclear weapon that's concentrated into a very narrow package that hits exactly where it needs to, penetrates deep into the ground. What would a nuclear ground strike do? Except a nuclear ground strike would be something equivalent of using a sledgehammer to hit a target, where the Oreshnik would be a very powerful lawn dart that penetrates a lot deeper. This is just a carrier. I mean, we don't know what kind of warhead they want to put on it. They don't have nuclear weapons. So we'll see. I think it's more export than
Russia does.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, by the way, that a NATO member would come out with this. I mean, we've heard Turkey for a long time complaining about NATO not being. Many times, Erdogan has said they're not sending us the right parts. They're deliberately delaying this and this and this. We have to basically think for ourselves now. But the timing is interesting. I mean, an Israeli official recently called Ankara the new Tehran, which is a very strong statement. Any timing with the unveiling of this new colossal missile?
Well, I mean, this missile wouldn't be worth anything against Israel. Israel's about 2,000 kilometers away, less than that, actually. So they wouldn't need it. They've got more than enough weapon systems to strike Israel. Now, I mean, Israel is the preeminent terror regime in the Middle East. Let's call it what it is. Gulags, mass murder, genocide, ethnic cleansing to the extreme of destroying every single building. I mean, Israel takes the prize for everything since 1945. They take the prize from Nazi Germany at this point for this kind of level of terror. And what we're looking at, yes, Turkey, of course, is a target. So will be Egypt if Turkey ever falls. Israel cannot tolerate having any state in the area. But I think Turkey's got enough weapon systems to devastate Israel. The only trick up its sleeve that Israel has is nuclear weapons.
Yeah. Meantime, what about the prospects, for example, that Turkey could try and sell this new intercontinental ballistic missile, this new ICBM to other countries? I mean, for example, we know Turkey has been selling weapons and drones to Ukraine. Do you think
third part of man was destroyed
like this?
By the wave of these missiles?
I'm sure they would be. If Turkey sells that, it's going to have a very big problem with Russia at that point. Let's not forget, Russia brought Turkey to its knees after the Turkish gray wolves, ambushed a Russian fighter bomber over Syria. Russia put economic sanctions on Turkey that crippled its economy. That's why the Turks came back apologizing, swallowing their pride really quickly, because they were looking at an economic crash. The Turks would, yes, definitely, Ukrainians would love this. The Pakistanis would love this, because the Pakistanis do not have a delivery system that can deliver nuclear weapons to cover all of India. India's a big place. They can cover into about a third of India. They can't go very much further than that. So they would love to buy something like this. I think this is strictly, first and foremost, an export model, something they're going to make money off of, destabilize the world a little further. But the question is, can it actually fly?
Well, yeah, it's a very good question as well. We're going to have to wait and see if the tests are ever performed or at least publicized. Meantime, not looking good for the future well-being of that part of the world. Stanislav Krapivnik, former U.S. Army officer, live and worldwide with us here on RT. Thank you.
Yep.
Always a pleasure.
By ways of these, a third part of man was destroyed. And it will happen. There are 200,000 of these ICBMs worldwide. Oil and stocks jolt on news of U.S.-Iran deal as some cry manipulation. So like everything else, of course, we know how Trump does business, that he does do things to manipulate markets by, saying he's going to do this and that, and say, oh, I think they want to make a deal with us, just so he can keep the oil prices while still threatening to blow them to oblivion. It's all about stock manipulation. Minutes before, the report dropped on potential peace deal. And don't forget, you got hantavirus in the background, right? The COVID-19 hoax. They could concoct the hoax. They're already starting to put things out on that. A lot of people said hantavirus, that'll be the next COVID. So, yeah, they could launch that. Seems to be a ceasefire, so far, right? Especially with Saudi Arabia saying no to the bases. 920 million was waged on oil prices plunging. Report that Iran and the U.S. were inching closer to a peace deal sent oil prices plunging and stock indexes soaring as some traders claimed the false starts were starting to smell of market manipulation. Brent crude dropped from 108 per barrel to 97 after the report. Just 70 minutes before, Axios reported nearly 920 million was wagered on crude oil short positions. So, like everything else, so yeah, that's definitely... and then you have this, United Arab Emirates exit from OPEC. Appeases Trump, delivers blows to Saudi Arabia. So you see, this move has really pissed Saudi Arabia off and has made them angry with Trump. You get it? That's why they can't use their bases over this. Over 80% of young adults believe the economy is bad. And we're seeing the consequences all over Babylon, right? Decades of economic decline have brought this country to a breaking point. Vast majority of the population is barely scraping by month to month as prices continue to rise. Thousands of stores and restaurants close. Foreclosures spike to alarming levels, and the middle class continues to shrink, which you can say that they're not really there. They're such a minority, you can't even call them anything anymore, right? Now the crisis in the strait threatens to make things a lot worse, and a lot of people are justifiably concerned about what this means for the futures. Yeah, you ain't got none. You know? So, you know, just they're feeling the tensions. So here we go, you know, hantavirus hoax. How dangerous is a cruise ship outbreak? Rat-borne pathogen has killed 3 people and sparked a public health panic. Yeah, there's only 3 people. You know, but they gotta really exaggerate that, right? Hantavirus are a family of viruses that can cause disease in humans, usually hemorrhage or fever with renal syndrome. And hantavirus and Cumberland syndrome are named after the Hantan River in Korea. Oh, this is a Korean virus, so I wonder if Trump's going to say that, because, yeah, they never liked North Korea. Where scientists first identified the pathogen when UN troops deployed along its banks fell with HFRS. And supposedly this is supposed to be around Spain, so looks like Ben, right? You know, you remember the song Ben by Michael Jackson? Well, nonetheless, though, this is what's going on, and we're breaking it down here. Morning news and prophecy, so going into a live video now. It's actually live now, so.
All right, which, you know, the new thing on the block, the new crisis on the block is this, all right, this hantavirus. Okay, so let's play this, all right, and show you that it's looking like they're gonna run with this thing, man. And we'll see. And Lord will they do, man. You know, Lord will they do, man, because these compounding crises bring the end to this place swiftly, man. You know, and it's gonna accelerate beyond what these elites can control. It's gonna accelerate, man. You know, so let's play this.
Tracking a new case of hantavirus linked to that outbreak on a cruise ship. They say a man who was on board has tested positive.
The recommendation for people to remain in their cabins. Obviously, that's not very pleasant for everyone for a long period of time. We understand plenty of food, plenty of water on board, so you know, people are being fed, and they are doing some decontamination on board, disinfection in the cabins themselves. So we've asked about any rats on board. We've been told there are no rats on board. So there are lots of different...
Yeah, the last one was a bat virus, now it's a rat virus, from bats to rats.
Prior to the ship, where 2 of these individuals clearly got infected. A little complicated, because the incubation period for this virus can be any 8 weeks. So you don't quite know. We saw these additional cases that got sick later in April. Were they sick because they got infected on the ship? Or were they sick because they also were exposed in Argentina prior to getting on the ship? And I'm sure the epidemiology... One thing that is disconcerting, not alarming, but disconcerting, is this is the one hantavirus, the Andes virus, that has been shown historically to be able to be transmitted human to human. The other viruses are all rodent to man, rodent to man, rodent to man, rodent to man. The Andes virus has clearly shown the capability, rarely, but it can go human to human.
Well, there you go.
Oh, human to human.
You know, it's mutated.
Oh no, no, the mutant ninja virus.
Rolling to man now. You know, they're saying they can go human to human. Here we go. You know, and Lord will, you know, they run with the narrative, man. This is a good one, huh? You know, run with it, like brother said. Like Brother Yaqua said, man, bring the shut down, man. It's a good one to run with, man. Okay? You know that nigga listening, man. Run with this one, huh? Alright? So go for it all, man. Okay? So we'll see, man. Let's play some more of this.
What can you tell us about this case and the current situation on the ship?
Errol, yes. Well, currently this morning, French media is reporting that the Ministry of Health there, that a French continent, MV Hondius, and its 150 passengers or so are still stuck off the coast of Cape Verde after getting there on Monday. We've also gotten confirmation that the strain of hantavirus can jump from person to person.
There's a lot of uncertainty, and that's the hardest part.
Overnight, the 3 remaining passengers showing symptoms were evacuated.
The plan now is for the ship to continue onto the Canary Islands.
So far, 3 passengers have died and 2 others have been hospitalized. 1 in South Africa, another in Switzerland.
Well, at least it wasn't monkey butt.
Maybe some human-to-human transmission that's happening among the really close contacts, the husband and wife, people who've shared cabins.
Hantavirus typically spreads from dust contaminated by rodent droppings or saliva. But the Andes strain can spread from person to person and is only found in regions of South America. The Dutch cruise ship left Argentina on April 1st and has been moored off the West African island of Cape Verde since Sunday.
This was an expedition boat, and many of the people on board were doing bird watching. They were doing, a lot of things with wildlife. So our assumption is they were infected off the boat and then joined the cruise.
Video shows officials from the World Health Organization boarding the ship, covered in personal protective equipment, there to monitor for any new cases with full disinfection set for when the MV Hondius reaches Spain's Canary Islands.
Potential to spread beyond an outbreak is very small.
Health officials tempering worry for the public.
A cruise ship that's been hit by hantavirus, people ill on board, they're currently stuck outside Cape Verde. They had been promised safe passage and able to disembark in the Canary Islands. However, the leader of Spain's Canary Islands has just told Reuters, according to Reuters, rejected the fact that the hantavirus hit cruise ship is able to dock there. The leader of Spain's Canary Islands has said actually it will not be allowed to dock in the Canary Islands. He's also demanded an urgent meeting with the Spanish Prime Minister Sanchez to discuss the situation. So the leader of the Canary Islands has rejected the docking of the ship infected by hantavirus. You can see it currently there, just off the coast of Cape Verde. Some passengers who are infected, who are ill, will be able to disembark in Cape Verde to get that immediate medical attention, but it is unclear what happens to the rest of them.
Brutal. So now, it was supposed to dock in the Canary Islands, all right, but now the Canary Islands is rejecting, this ship, okay, this quarantine ship, okay, which contains people, they have died from the hantavirus, man, okay? So now let's see how they're going to spin that narrative, man. Let's play a little more. I got another one.
I mean, can you imagine just being stuck with nowhere to go in the meantime? Of course, it comes after the WHO and the EU tried to intervene to help change the direction of travel of this. But
this time they won't have Dr. Funky.
It gives you a bit of a sense of the scale of time we're talking for the people still on that ship.
This is a story that has now so many different strands. One is what's happening on board the ship in Cape Verde.
Oh no, not Delta, Lambda
in a
again.
serious condition. The third was, as we understand it, asymptomatic, was closely linked to a German passenger who died on the 2nd of May. And now, for precautionary reasons, it was felt that they also needed to be under the close supervision of medical authorities. Now, as they've been taken ashore at Cape Verde, there is a medical flight, a specialist flight that will be going out to take, will have high level of medical care.
Well, you notice how they say pandemic worldwide. It's there.
Infectious diseases consultants
they are putting
joining the ship, according to Oceanwide Expeditions, as it then travels on to the Canary Islands, with, by my count, 146 passengers still on board. What they're thinking at the moment, goodness knows, because Cape Verde said they cannot come ashore, and it seems uncertain at the moment whether they will be allowed ashore in the Canary Islands. But the feeling is that that is the closest port where they can disembark, be screened, receive medical attention if necessary, and be repatriated home. So it's an uncertain situation at the moment, and it is developing rapidly this morning.
Yeah, so let's see. Fast forward a little bit. All right, here you go. World Health Organization representative speaks. All right, so WHO back on the scene. All right, WHO, they back. All right, which they, under emergency situations, they can, begin to lock down these governments, man. If this thing begins, they can run with the narrative of outbreak. All right, and when WHO gets involved, well, WHO, they sign, certain treaties. All right, a lot of nations signed on, a lot of governments. All right, and gave WHO, okay, authority, okay, in time of emergency, man.
Even Syria and Iran did it, so.
To call for lockdowns, okay, to set up
Russia.
Restrictions. And like I say, WHO, okay, is nothing but an entity of the elites of central control. They can pose as non-elected, okay, officials, okay, of World Health. Well, ultimately, it's just a tool of control of the elites, man. All right, to be able to set mandates as if these mandates are for your best interest. And even the title, World Health Organization. Okay, what the hell do they do? All right, the earth is unhealthy as it's ever been, so what the hell do they do? What do these niggas do, man, in the meantime? You only see these niggas during crisis, man. Okay? They do nothing to improve your day-to-day health in this society, but when crisis comes, these niggas pop up with all the instructions, man. Okay? So let's play this a little more.
For a quarantine, that will be the decision of the captains, maybe sampling, testing, etc. And then if there is a need for a quarantine, that will be the decision of the health authorities.
How long will this for these passengers?
8 weeks is a horribly long time to be quarantined, right?
Yeah.
And these passengers have already been contained within the boat for a very long time. We have been worried about the mental health of the passengers, the uncertainty, the unclarity, and how they are feeling to be contained in.
And I'm gonna put this in the description box. I've got another one. But guess who else is back on the scene? Okay.
Dr. Fucky?
On the scene. So let's
Is it the Pfizer CEO?
You know, brother, put that 2 Corinthians 2:11. All right. 2 Corinthians 2:11 is NLT Bible shop. So let's go here. Okay. And I think this is an older interview. Okay. Well, here we go with this guy, man. You know.
Oh yeah, Kill Gates.
Okay. And this nigga, he's been on the scene just in the background. See, these people just pop up in a time of crisis with all the answers and instructions on what to do. Okay. Here it is. This nigga's supposed to be a computer CEO, a tech CEO. Okay, but he has all the advice when it comes to the health. Okay, in the direction of the world. Okay, so you got this guy. You're gonna see more of him. Okay, saying what needs to be done next. Okay, in the time of crisis, man, it's the same crew. So let's play this.
And it won't be the last pandemic. The next one could be far more severe. I mean, this one, it killed millions. It was awful. We got the vaccine. Actually, President Trump's leadership was factoring getting that out quickly. And so when I spoke to him, I said, okay, here's some other medical innovations, including the thing called an HIV. It can be accelerated. So, we should be more prepared for a pandemic. I'd say that's still number one. You can worry about nuclear war. You can worry about AI. There's plenty to worry about. Overall, I'm an optimist. It's up to the government to think ahead on behalf of the citizens. So, a pandemic, there's a lot that we should be doing that hopefully we'll get our act together before the next one comes. Overall, the innovation in health, both in the developing countries, the rich world, I love being part of that.
I was reading, though, that you said the next pandemic you are predicting within maybe 25 years.
Certainly we'll have one in the next 25 years. There's even some pathogens out there that we're watching over right now.
Meantime, you are looking...
Yeah, so these devils, okay, they had this in the making. Yeah.
Yep, it was in the making long ago. This is a pre-plan, as you can tell there. Nonetheless, though, that's a live lesson happening right now, as we speak. GMS Kingdom Mind him, and he has a few channels, but, subscribe to him, right? Trump's war against Iran catastrophe with 0 gains made Tehran very strong. And this is from Judge Napolitano, who sometimes has Gerald Celente on there as well. He's going into this. Trump's military aggression against Iran has been nothing short of a catastrophe, yielding zero strategic gains. Well, you can say Israeli state pushed them into it, and it's very, very true. But remember, Trump is Amalek himself, so they both wanted it. And yeah, King Bibi may be out of the way, but that other douche that you saw saying, "Oh yeah, Turkey's the next Iran," he may be the guy making decisions on the Israeli state very soon here. Judge Napolitano, former New Jersey Superior Court judge, syndicated columnist, and political commentator, made these remarks in an interview with the Press TV site. So, let's just see if they have that. I'll have to try to look. Wow, look at these other links, right? Nonetheless, though, he said it on there, right? He said the U.S.-Israeli aggression against the Islamic Republic of Iran yielded no tangible benefits for the U.S. and President Trump failed to achieve his declared objectives of seizing and degrading Iran's nuclear materials and ballistic missile capabilities. Instead, Trump suffered significant loss of international credibility. Yeah, America has no credibility whatsoever, and they don't even fucking like dealing with him. It's not so much that they don't like America, they just don't like him. You've heard that said before. Strait of Hormuz, once reliably operating near perfection, global shipping lane, said he transformed it into a contested battle zone. Refusal of key European allies, particularly Germany, France, and Spain, and the UK to join, and this boat just so happens to be on the way to Spain. Isn't that convenient? And the UK to join the so-called liberation operation at the Strait underscores our fundamental recognition this is not their war. Well, no. It's the war for Israeli state and Trump. Remember, it's Trump shit. Iran has hit far more U.S. military assets than reported. Absolutely. And they got satellite images showing you. Imagery published by Iran's state-affiliated media verify the post shows damage to at least 228 structures or pieces of equipment at U.S. military sites. Iranian airstrikes damaged and destroyed at least 228 structures or pieces of equipment at U.S. military sites across West Asia since the war began, hitting hangars, barracks, field depots, aircraft, and key radar, communications, and air defense equipment. According to Washington Post analysis of satellite imagery, the amount of destruction is far larger than what had been publicly acknowledged by the U.S. government previously reported. Of course, the Pentagon and the government ain't going to tell you the truth that, man, they just totally wiped out anything that they might have thought of using. So, you can see the extensive damages here. Yeah, you just, just loads and loads of it. Yep, the proof is in the pudding, and you see the pudding right there. So yeah, and they can't even launch sorties from Saudi Arabia, which is probably one of the least hit since the war. But Iran was able to hit some areas there as well. Trump threatens Iran with bombing at a much higher level if it doesn't agree to the deal. Oh, here we go again. Trump shit. President Trump on Wednesday threatened Iran with bombing at a much higher level than what the U.S. and Israeli state previously unleashed. Trump's threat, issued on Truth Social, came after he announced the U.S. was pausing military operation guide to ship out of the Strait, but would continue to enforce a blockade on Iranian ports. Well, like everything else, though, what they're not telling you is that they had a fallout with Saudi Arabia. And it's because of their dick move of having the... See, you know, between tariffs and everything else, and then... Because United Arab Emirates works with Trump. You know, and tell them, go ahead and pull out of OPEC. We want to stick it to them. Saudi Arabia retaliated and did hit areas in United Arab Emirates, but the U.S. was quick to blame Iran. You know, can't reiterate that enough. Negotiations continue to be in direct talks through Pakistan as Iran maintained that it won't enter direct talks until the U.S. lifts the blockade. So, you know, it's a stalemate. IRGC says it would allow safe, stable transit via Hormuz with aggressive threats neutralized, meaning that anybody else who's not dealing with their enemies can go through anyways. IRGC announced that transit through the Strait will gradually become safe and stable as the security situation in the Persian Gulf improves with the aggressive threats neutralized. It said that Iran would allow a resumption of transit in the key waterway, which is responsible for a fifth of global oil demand. Now that threats from the U.S. and the Israeli regime against Iran are subsiding, we thank captains and ship owners in the Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman for complying with the Strait regulations that contribute to regional maritime security. So in other words, yeah, they've been very cooperative, you know. It came just days after Iran was forced to fire missiles and drones to warn the U.S. warships seeking to approach the Strait in an attempt to break the country's control over the waterway. But the main sortie that the U.S. was going to use, using Saudi Arabia, is a no-go. Israeli state strikes and devastates Lebanese cities despite the ceasefire. There is no fucking ceasefire. It's a joke. I mean, look at that shit. You know? You can look at this shit and know that there's no ceasefire. Israeli strikes damaged buildings in Beirut's southern suburbs and hit a commercial site in southern Lebanon, despite the ceasefire. So, you know, you just see it. It's everywhere. Israeli state can do what it wants to, right? Because they own it. They own all of it. Israeli report says concern growing over Syrian army reconstruction. This has to do with their future war against Turkey, because Turkey has interest in Syria, and so does the Israeli state. Which Hayat al-Sham works with both the Israeli state and Turkey. So there's going to be divisions. So like everything else, though, they try to keep their deal with the Israeli state, but yet at the same time, the Israeli state keeps on taking more, as part of a deal. But, there's going to eventually be a war with Turkey and Syria, especially that other guy gets in and King Bibi is out. According to reports, Syrian leadership is working to rehabilitate the Air Force and develop heavy weapon capabilities, including armored vehicles, artillery systems, and missiles. Report added that Israeli security officials view the developments with concern, partly because of support provided by Turkey. So that's a key one. And President Erdogan to the Syrian authorities. So you see why the scriptures tell you straight out the gate, woe be unto thee, right? Syria and Babylon. So we'll just get that. So, it tells you right here in 2 Ezra chapter 16 that the Third World War really consists around this area. Because they do want a war with Turkey. And that war is also going to be over the Syrian territory, duh. And Damascus gets destroyed in that day. Over who gets the power over Damascus, ultimately it gets destroyed. Samson option, possibly. Or maybe Iran does it, or maybe Russia does it. Either way, though, that prophecy will come. Woe be unto thee, Babylon and Asia. Well, where Babylon is, and you definitely know where Asia is, West Asia in particularly. Woe be unto thee, Egypt and Syria. So Babylon, which is modern day Egypt, is going to be fighting in Syria. So it really is, talking about this. So they're going to steal. This war is just, because it's the only way in. I think that with Saudi Arabia out, they're going to try to plunge into Syria. Because Saudi Arabia, the moves that Trump is doing is just only fucking them off. They don't want to deal with Trump. Nobody wants to fucking deal with Trump. He's a fucking asshole. Who wants to deal with that fucking asshole? He's fucking off everybody. Because of course, he's greedy and he wants more and more. Gird up yourselves and claws a sack of hair. Bewail your children and be sorry, for your destruction is at hand. So this is talking about the Third World War that cometh quickly. Sword is sent upon you, and who may turn it back? And this is talking about the ICBMs. Which you now know Turkey has a new one. As well as Russia and all the other places in the world. There's 200 million of them. A fire is sent among you, and who may quench it? Plagues are sent unto you, and who is he that can drive them away? May anyone drive away hungry lion in the wood? Or may anyone quench a fire and stubble when it hath begun to burn? So that's when these things are going to be shot off. So it says it right there. May anyone turn again the arrow that is shot of a strong archer, which you already know, ICBMs and the archer vehicles, etc. And the means to do it. The Most High Yahweh sendeth the plagues, and who is he that can drive them away? A fire shall go forth from his wrath, and who is he that may quench it? So the Third World War cometh quickly, so hopefully this has been edifying. Just got one last little snippet here, just, things that go on in the background that, these elites and these secret clubs and, because you'll always hear Epstein and then fucking Trump, he panics and, well, there's more and more revealed about all these celebrities. They're all in bed with Babylon. They all worship the beast in its image, right? They all worship Babylon. They want to be stars, etc. Pedowood is another new name for it. Well, Justin Bieber, who has been revealing a lot, just revealed more about Mariah Carey, who had just pretended to take the COVID shot, right? And told everybody to get the COVID shot. Well, there's even more. They eat their own. So, here it is. Shalom. Bracha the Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash, Wa Abababal. Brakatum Yehofolek. Shalom.
Justin Bieber just went nuclear. He's accusing the music industry of forcing its biggest stars to sacrifice young children for success. And he says he's got the receipts to prove it. Bieber claims Mariah Carey's family carried out satanic rituals, sacrificing children and babies to launch her career. Then, the Illuminati allegedly ordered her to sacrifice her own mother and sister to stay in the elite club. Now, the entire industry is scrambling, because it's clear. Bieber isn't speaking in code or using metaphors. He meant it literally. He's done with the games and the code words. He's done with burying hints and signals in his music videos. He's done playing by the industry's rules. Now, he's saying it out loud. He knows their darkest secrets, and he's coming for them. Before we dive in, join the TPV free
Yeah, don't be surprised if a tragedy happened.
She had a very complicated relationship with both her mother.
We're learning more about Mariah Carey's double heartbreak, losing her sister and mother on the same day.
There it is.
She had a very complicated relationship with both her mother, Patricia, who was a opera singer and a vocal coach herself, and she also was estranged from her sister.
Suspicions exploded immediately. The odds of her mother and sister dying naturally on the same day were astronomical, especially with the family's history of occult rituals, child sacrifice.
Yeah, what about Carrie Fisher and Debbie Boone dying the same day?
I feel blessed that I was able to spend the last week with my mom before she passed. Patricia was an accomplished opera singer. She sang alongside Mariah for an ABC Christmas special in 2010. They received a thunderous standing ovation. But the pair had a complicated relationship, which Mariah wrote about in her 2020 memoir.
Our relationship is a prickly rope of pride, pain, shame, gratitude, jealousy, admiration, and disappointment. A complicated love tethers my heart to my mother's.
Mariah also had a rocky relationship with her sister Allison. Inside Edition interviewed Allison in 1995.
If I ever did have a family, I don't have one anymore.
In recent weeks, Beep has been speaking out to fans during late-night Instagram sessions, posting and removing shocking allegations, as his online behaviour finally starts to match what's really happening inside his head. Those closest to him say he's become a ticking time bomb, struggling to process the horrors of his youth, and what he now clearly understands was systematic abuse. They allege that Bieber was repeatedly taken without consent by members of Diddy's entourage, deliberately spiking his adrenal response right before his blood was extracted.
And he should not be able to hide himself. His seed
Turns out
is
the same thing was
spoiled.
happening in Mariah Carey's family, as her sister Allison revealed. Their mother raised the children in a satanic paedophile cult that engaged in ritual sacrifices and sexual acts with adults and children, according to Allison, who said her mother allowed paedophiles to sexually abuse her at satanic worship meetings when she was just a child.
Carey, Mariah Carey's sister, talks about the sacrifices they would do for Mariah to get famous. Children between 1 to 3 years old were sacrificed, and this traumatized her horrifically.
We have these big circles of these Satanists around an altar where the people, sometimes in hooded, what do you call them? They were wearing these long cloaks that were brown with hoods, and they'd be in...
Yeah, that sounds like that Tom Cruise movie, right?
By the altar, where
Eyes Wide Shut?
there'd be live children and sometimes babies. So, and that would happen at night. I saw people get stabbed and start bleeding, and it would be dripping to the floor. It was children. The youngest I ever saw stabbed, I'd say he was about younger than 2 years old. And then there were several that were 2 and 3 years old. I can't imagine how anybody got away with that. The kid disappears. Don't detectives come?
How do they get away with it? Because it's a full-blown power structure. The entertainment industry's top executives, the police and the politicians are all working together to protect the machine. Listen, just quickly, if you're a People's Voice viewer, make sure that you click